I'm used to taking control, but it's your turn this morning, right?
Yeah, you all right with that?
I'll shake a little bit.
Good morning. It is Tuesday, June 25th, 2019. It's 8:30 a.m. and we're in the Senator hearing room at 555 Court Street Northeast to have a selection on Senate District 10. I want to welcome everybody, but the first thing we like to do, and I hope you like to do, is say the Pledge of Allegiance. Would you join, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
My name is Sam Brentano. I'm a commissioner here in Marion County. Let's go ahead and introduce ourselves.
I'm Colin Willis. I'm also a commissioner here in Marion County.
Kevin Cameron, Marion County Commissioner.
Craig Polk, Polk County Commissioner.
Lyle Wardhorse, Polk County Commissioner.
Mike Ainsworth, Polk County Commissioner.
Thank you. Just a little personal stuff. I've had the opportunity, the pleasure to appoint people in different offices probably 6 or 8 times. And it's, to me, kind of one of the most important things that I and we do. You could say every vote we make represents a third of Marion County, but when we select someone, especially in the House or Senate, we're really making a decision for a number of people. I've got the exact count. I'm speaking for 21,000 of the best people in Marion County. And I just want you to know I take it serious, and it really matters. So, we have a schedule. I'll just kind of go over how it's going to work here this morning. There will be each of the nominees will have an opening statement scheduled to be 3 minutes each. We have our official timer. Chad will, yellow is 30-second warning, and red is bad. And so you give your opening statements, and then the boards here will ask questions. Again, 2 minutes response on that one, and then there'll be a chance for closing statements. We'll take a little break, come back, and deliberate and vote. Now, I was looking through the packets. We'll sign these forms. I kind of thought there would be some tickets to Boise included. I can't find them yet. We'll keep looking. So, I think, we have a time schedule, but it's not, we're not bound by it. We try to keep this movie going. I know people have things to do, but we want to give every opportunity to have a thorough and, what's a good word? A good process. Let's leave it at that. So, I think we're ready to start with the opening statements. Now, everybody will have to help me with this. I always have problems. We'll take turns. I'm going to start with Denise this time, but we'll rotate who responds first as we go. Now, I can only dance 3 steps, so if it gets beyond that, this is where I'll need help to remember where we're at.
We're here. We can help you.
That's what I'm asking.
Yeah.
All right. So, Denise, opening statement. Would you begin?
Thank you, Commissioner. Thank you all for being here today. It is not lost on me the enormity of the decision that you have to make today. I don't think any of us were expecting that we would be sitting here at this time, and the Senate district has been held by Senator Winters for many, many years, and the absence of her in our community I believe, will be felt for a long time. And so it is, quite honestly, very humbling to present my name before you today for this consideration. As you may know, I won my first election this last year after 2 competitive primary and a competitive general to be the state representative from House District 19, which makes up half of the Senate seat entirely in Marion County. So it's nice to meet my folks on the other side of the river this morning. And since then, I was sworn in and have been serving, and currently I'm still serving as a state representative in this community. And this, I would say, that experience has really, I think, would be extraordinarily beneficial for serving in the Senate. I have learned a tremendous amount. Serving in the super minority as a Republican woman in the state of Oregon is no easy task. And I believe that my record has shown so far that I am someone that approaches things from a common sense, balanced perspective, trying to find consensus when we can. And when we can't, I will stand strong and stand firm for principles that are important to my community. And I just wanted to share that for a minute, that is the kind of leader you can expect to have in this seat from me. I am someone that listens well, and really generally gets along with people from all political philosophies, but I am very clear on what I believe in, what my community needs, and I'm willing to be a really strong advocate for that. So I just, in closing, I just want to say that, moving forward, whoever you should select today, I think that the partnerships that we create in this community and that I've been a part of for many years and that are important going forward. Because we're not going to make changes and do things that affect positive direction in our state unless we can work together and get everyone going in the same direction. And I look forward to the opportunity of being that kind of partner with you guys. Thank you.
Thank you. Kevin Chambers, good morning, and go ahead.
Good morning, Commissioners. Thank you for coming out today. As you know, my name is Kevin Chambers. I am currently the Polk County Republican Chair, and I also serve on the Board of Commissioners for the Polk County Housing Authority. I'm really proud of what we've been able to do as a county party, especially in House District 20, which is more Democrats than Republicans. We're really growing, especially in West Salem, the presence of that, and have a strong chance of taking that House district back because of the efforts the PCPs and the party has been doing. As we all bring a unique background, right now we all know about HB 2020. My background does happen to be in environmental sciences, and I will be one of the only ones in that Senate to stand up and say you're using a fake environmental crisis to push through agenda that's going to kill businesses in both counties. And I'd be able to bring a spotlight to that. Not only that, but I do believe in localities. One of the first bills I want to push through when we get control of federal land, it goes directly to the county control and not state control, because let's be honest, the state cannot properly manage land, and I believe localities are key. So thank you for taking your time out of your day to come here and listen to us and ask us questions and engage in this process.
Thank you. Becky, good morning.
Such an honor to be here. I'm a second-generation Oregonian. I've lived all over the state in Jackson County, Polk County, Marion County, and Coos County. I've been married for 43 years to my high school sweetheart, and we have 3 kids, 6 grandkids, and 2 great-grandkids, and that's the reason I'm here. I'm here to make Oregon more like it was when I was growing up, where we used our natural resources and we had more freedoms. And that's the way I think we need Oregon to go. I've been a PCP since 2010. I've worked shoulder to shoulder with other PCPs, helping our candidates get elected. And sitting in this chair is a little bit new to me, but I think I'm ready, and I think it's time. I've worked in customer service most of my life. I currently work at the Capitol for Representative Mike Neerman, and that has really shown me what happens there. I'm ready. I'm ready to go there and to be a voice for the constituents in Senate District 10. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Now we'll ask questions. The boards here will. My first question, I'm going to start with you now, Kevin. You've kind of got into it, but I really want to know what everybody thinks it's the issue of the day, and it's just as simple as give me your thoughts on House Bill 2020.
It's bad. It's going to kill jobs. They're using a fake environmental crisis, and when we look at climate change and what causes it, there's 3 main factors: plate tectonics, the Milankovitch cycles, and solar minima and maxima. And solar minima and maxima really drive the decade shift. Just as an example, back when we had the mini ice age in the 1700s, solar minima So solar output decreased by 0.25%, which caused decade-long ice age. So this is really what drives our decade-long climate change, and people don't really realize that. And I've studied this enough, put hundreds of hours in, I can stand up and say, guys, you're being silly. Let's not use a fake environmental crisis to push through an agenda that's going to take money away from rural people and shove it to Portland, because I'm personally tired of Portland and Eugene getting all of our money.
I have not studied the bill, but I know enough about it to know that what it's doing is driving a wedge between the urban and the rural people. I've talked to dairy farmers, ranchers, and it's going to drive them right out of the state and out of business. They cannot keep doing what they do. They can't keep their livelihood if this bill passes. It really needs to be defeated. We can't have it passed in Oregon.
Denise?
Well, House Bill 2020 has been quite the topic, especially recently. During the legislative session, there were over 100 amendments that were introduced in an attempt to bring some sort of common sense balance to this bill, if that is even possible. The bill, you can get more from me. I gave 3 separate speeches against it on the House floor in a 6.5-hour argument trying to defeat it on the floor. But it is going to be incredibly burdensome, not only for our rural and natural resources communities, but really for all of us, because of the cost to gasoline, the cost to heat, the cost to goods and services. And really, aside from all of that, the setting up of a carbon, I call it the carbon czar, will give some extraordinary power to an unelected a bureaucrat in the state of Oregon that I've watched how we've been growing the agencies, and there is a lot of power being amassed that is not being directly checked by elected bodies. And so I think that this bill, in fact, they had to remove a Democrat from Ways and Means in order to get it out of the committee. So there's a lot of work left to be done. I am hopeful that we will get a start. It will be back if it gets defeated. But maybe, I believe especially in the last week, the tenor and the dialogue has shifted, and people are starting to listen to some of the concerns that have been presented through this entire session. But now they're paying attention, and that's a good thing.
All right, thank you. Commissioner Willis, and starting with Becky.
My next.
Well,
Oh,
we,
you're changing
you need
the
some
form?
help.
Oh, I need some
Yeah,
help.
we need some help. Because we have this,
I see, I just got to read the chart. I'm fine. Commissioner Cameron,
Do you want me to read?
would you?
This is just like Wednesday mornings. Well, this is fun. Welcome, all of you. It's great to have you here. Thanks for being here. Question that we have, and I'm gonna get us back in order. So, Kevin, I'm gonna start with you because that's what it says for me to do.
Okay.
Okay? And then we'll just follow along in that order. Is that okay?
Fine.
All right, good. What single event or experience in your background makes you the most prepared candidate for service in the legislature?
Sure. Obviously, we've talked about my environmental background. I think the other factor is my age and my perspective. I have felt the burdensome student loans. I'm sure some of you have family that have that, and the trouble of living paycheck to paycheck. Trying to find a job right out of college is hard. Trying to meet bills, so I can relate to a lot of the low-income young families, and even going around campaigning before, talking with elders who are on a limited budget and know that budget pinch. One of my biggest worries is when I'm over the bridge and separated from a loved one, though that earthquake hits, because I've studied that, and both those bridges are going down. Is how do you get back over there? Not just that, but we think about every single little bridge that's going to fall down and how we're not prepared for that. And so I understand the gravitas of a large earthquake and the damage it's going to do, and the fear, knowing that what's going to happen. So.
Okay, Becky?
One of the first things that Representative Neerman said to me when I started working for him is to be a good legislator, you need to have courage and convictions. And I have both of those. And I think that's what it is. I have conservative values that I live by and I believe in, and I have the courage to stand up for them. I have the courage to vote no when other people are voting yes, and I have the courage to stand up for the people in the district.
Commissioner, could you repeat the question?
What single event or experience in your background makes you the most prepared candidate for service in the legislature?
Well, quite honestly, as if you're going for prepared candidate, I would say my current experience as a state representative. I understand the process. I understand what it's like to sit on the dais and ask the questions, to take the votes, and interacting throughout the building. And as much as I think that would be valuable, especially coming into a Senate seat that mid-session, it's difficult. And leadership is difficult. And one of the things I took away from actually Senator Winter's memorial service was the comment that it is lonely. And she was a leader, a lonely leader at times. And it actually reassured me because that's the way I have felt at times during the session. So I think that experience has at least prepared me to know a little bit more what to expect, even though it's a new chamber and a new body.
Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Morhorse.
I think I'm next.
Do you have, I think we have a different sheet of music than you do.
Well, whoever would like to go. Commissioner Willis, go
All
ahead.
right. So this, Becky, you're up next. What are your specific and concrete plans to keep yourself grounded and in touch with your constituents as a legislator?
It's easy to keep grounded with my family. They are my strength, my husband and my children, and they all live nearby. I'm very lucky, very blessed that they all live close. I do have plans to go out and meet the constituents and introduce myself and hold town halls and coffees and get to know them and know what's important to them.
My next. As far as keeping grounded with the constituents, I think that we're really fortunate, at least I feel fortunate, is that I get to serve and live in the community while I'm serving. And that's just been a real benefit because on one hand, people don't realize other legislators are kind of considered deployed. They're here and they live here and they work. I go home at night, which is wonderful. I went to my family and my husband of nearly 25 years. But I also currently I do my monthly breakfast or he goes back and forth with the mayor of Turner. I get invited and I attend as much as my schedule allows with people. And quite honestly, the best way to go keep grounded is to go door knocking. I learned so much when I was campaigning, and I really enjoyed it because people will tell you what they think. And they should have that opportunity. And one of the things that I really aspire to is for people to realize that the legislature is their legislature and they should feel comfortable coming in, and I want them to feel comfortable and empowered in that process. And so I feel currently I have done a decent job of really having good connectivity with my community, and I look forward to having the opportunity to expand that.
So one of the things I'm going to do, I'm calling it office hours. A lot of people work 8 to 5, and a lot of senators or representatives go home or they're in session. So I'm going to have office hours at least once a week, preferably twice, where from 6 to 8, I'm going to make myself available for people to come and talk with me. Respectfully, hopefully, not yell at me, but so that way I'm just open to them. For people who work, I wish banks would do that so we could go in and deposit money, because we all work. We all have a day job, and you can't really interact. Obviously, we'll hold town halls. The other thing I've already been doing is I've been going to city hall meetings. I've been going to neighborhood association meetings. I've already, especially in Polk County, been plugging myself in locally so people know who I am. I get people who walk on the streets and say, Kevin, what do you think about this bill? This bill's horrible. What can we do about it? So I'm already involved and plugged in the communities themselves, and I plan to expand that with also going to farmers like Saturday markets and farmers markets and stuff, and having a presence in the community more and more, and be like, I'm here. I care about you guys. And even if you disagree with me, come tell me and talk to me. So that's what I plan to do.
I think I'm next.
Well, I have a new sheet and it says you are.
All right, Denise, we're just going to start off with you. So my question is, the Department of Land Conservation and Development, DLCD, has worked to increase their mandate and influence from protecting farm and resource land to directing state policy on transportation and environment. It usurps the authority from Oregon Department of Transportation and Department of Environmental Quality, in my opinion. The most recent examples are writing ineffective and damaging rules limiting vehicle miles traveled to appear as a response to global warming. Do you see DLCD as a problem, and how would you rein it in?
All right, thanks, Commissioner. Land use is not my area of expertise. However, I do have some opinions about it. And I do believe over the years that DLCD is absolutely expanding their authority. And in fact, there was a bill that I believe came up this week, that we had a conversation of expanding it to water. That water is now a land use conversation. And so, the reining it in is going to be, is challenging because, in my opinion, at the legislature, there seems to be a lack of will to rein agencies in. So as far as what I would do about it is to continue to point out and to say, to advocate for more common sense approaches. I've always been more of a fan of more regional decision making, and how we've done it in the state and the way it's set up, I think, is really clunky. But as you can imagine, anytime you have conversations about land use adjustments, they become very heated very quickly. So, so I do hear what you're saying, and I think you're right.
Can you repeat the question for me, please, Commissioner?
Okay, so the last sentence is,
Yeah.
Do you see DLCD as a problem, and how would you rein it in?
Yes. Right now, let's be honest, we have to win in 2020. And even then, the governor has a veto power. So it starts with winning in 2020, start putting all these bills through that we need to start reining in the government, to start reducing the size of the government, and to start giving control back to localities, specifically counties and cities. There's no reason people from Portland should be making a decision about Marion and Polk County. It's just that simple. So it starts with passing bills and public awareness. So yes, I see it as a problem. I believe land use should be to the counties, period. That's why we have a housing crisis, because our land use policies right now. So.
Okay, Becky?
I also am not an expert in this league, but I'm a very good listener and a very good learner. I do believe that what this is going to take is it's going to take a group effort. I'm going to listen to other people, learn from them, and work with other people, like-minded people. We can't do it when we're in the super minority, but we can start chipping away at it, and as a group, get this back to where we should be, which is small government and more freedom.
Well, I'm afraid to say any more, but Commissioner Moorhorse, it looks like it's you.
Thank you three for stepping up today. My question, this is to Kevin. What is the biggest challenge facing residents of Senate District 10 today? And what do you have in mind, or how do you plan to address it?
Government control, regulation, and lack of housing. I've seen in the last 6 months to 8 months, just in House District 25 businesses close because of overreach of government regulation, rising prices. Let's not forget we had the transportation package passed 2 years ago that's starting to increase taxes. We have an increase in minimum wage coming, which is already raising prices. People are talking to me on the streets, they're messaging me, they're calling me, they don't know how they're going to pay their rent, they don't know how they're going to live. And that's honestly because too much control and regulation. The best market is a free market. The best way to get more housing and to lower prices is to build more housing and lower the cost of fees and development charges, SDCs, and get control back to the counties so we can expand the UGB, so we can get more housing, so we can start lowering those prices by having more available. We need to start kicking back regulations on small businesses so they can actually afford to pay people, so they can I know businesses want to give raises, But if your operating cost is cent pennies on the dollar, your profit's pennies on the dollars, you can't give a raise. So that's what we got to do. We got to start rolling back regulations, start rolling back these fees, SDCs, and give power back to the communities.
People are working really hard, and it's hard to make ends meet. Right now the economy is doing much better, but we've just raised taxes with the gross receipt tax. We've got fees going up right and left, taxes going up. They can't pay attention to what's going on at the legislature because they're working so hard just to keep their head above water. So we really need to get back to small government, cut back on our budget, get back to the basics. But once again, in the super minority, that's going to be really hard. So we need to work hard to get more conservative people and like-minded people elected to the legislature.
Well, I think we have similar answers. We are all Republicans sitting here. But I think that families want to be able to raise their children, to make ends meet, and just have their life, have the ability to make decisions for themselves and for their families. And I will say that this legislative session has put a lot of that in jeopardy. There's been and just the sheer enormity of the stacking on working families, and the cost of just living the life that they're currently living is going to go up, and that's going to cause a lot of stress. It's going to cause stress in their housing. It's going to cause stress in their education. It's going to cause stress in their employment. And I'm not sure, so those are the things that I really am concerned about, because I don't think that that my constituents completely grasp what has happened in the last 5 months. And so those are the conversations I expect we'll continue to have, because they're aware of it, and I hear from a lot of people on these different issues. But I believe that just like I raised 3 kids, and we just want to do life, and the government just gets in the way. And so it's a real big goal of mine to get government out of the way of your ability to do your life.
Please.
I'm next. First of all, Denise, Kevin, and Becky, thanks for being here. I appreciate you guys stepping up for this. Those are huge shoes to fill with regards to Jackie's passing. So I'm just thankful that all 3 of you are here and committed to your constituents. Thank you. Becky, you're first.
Okay.
So can you name 3 major political groups that are actively supporting you, and have you promised to support a particular position on issues that are important to them?
The 3 of us were on a slate that were supported by Oregon Right to Life and a tax group. I do know that I saw an email. I did not go out and actively campaign with 2 groups. I do know that I'm supported also by a gun group. I'm very conservative. I'm very active. I think some of the conservative groups totally agree. I agree with them. So.
Thank you, Commissioner. I didn't actively go out and get support from a group for this position. I can share with you that in the process that I was supported by Oregon Right to Life and taxpayers, but in the past, in my campaign, I was supported by organizations such as the Oregon Farm Bureau, Oregon State Chambers, those type. But as far as this has been a pretty quick process, and it seemed a little bit, I don't know. We just walked through it, and here we are.
In addition, there were letters sent out on behalf of all 3 of us. One person who did endorse me, #1 talk show radio host, conservative in the Northwest, and that's Lars Larson. I got on his show and we talked, and he said, I throw my support behind you fully, whatever I can do to help. So one of the main focuses for me is localities. If Jackie Winters was on the main Ways and Means Committee, and she hasn't been replaced yet, and my sources in the Senate say they want to potentially use one of us to replace hers, is to make sure Marion and Polk County get as much money and power back to them as possible. And so that's going to be one of my main driving points is locality and getting power back to the counties.
We almost have to take a poll. You think it's my turn? All right.
Not ready to
Are you?
sanction him yet.
We could break out in song.
Just dance too.
All right. Here we go. This is starting with Denise. What is your position on gun rights?
I support the Second Amendment. I believe that guns are a right that free people should have, and I'm not concerned about about criminals or people who have not committed a crime being held to a crime. So
I should have added legislatively, if you could, basically from position of senator, what could you do?
well, I've already voted no on a measure that came forward last year when I was in a special session. There were a number of pretty extreme, I would bet to say unconstitutional bills coming through the session that I believe have been killed, but nothing's ever really dead until July 1st. So I have an A rating with the NRA if you follow them. So I believe it's something that it's an important right that we have as Americans.
Thank you. Kevin?
Thanks for the question. I believe in constitutional carry. I believe it wasn't limited to a musket, and I believe we are far overreaching. SB 719 is horrendous. I lose rights, not just my gun rights, but I lose rights, rights to representation, rights to face my accuser. That one would be one of the first ones that's going to go for me. SB 978, which was lock and carry, or how you had to lock your gun in your house. I live in an apartment. If someone breaks in, they're in my bedroom in 1.5 seconds. I don't have a minute to unlock a safe, and there's a lot of people like that. Personally, one of my other priorities out of everything is to start rolling back gun regulations that are harming the state. I'm fortunate in Monmouth we're open carry, so I do believe again, locality should have some say if they want to. Portland wants to regulate it, fine, but don't come to my town and start regulating with what you want to do, because we know more regulation leads to higher gun violence. Good guy with a gun is the only thing that will stop a bad guy with a gun.
Thank you. Becky?
I wasn't raised with guns, but I married a man who loved to hunt. So I've learned to use guns. I really fought the idea of getting a concealed carry permit because I thought of it as a form of registration. But when my youngest daughter came to me last month and said, I'm going to take a concealed carry class, would you go with me? I did. So I haven't turned in the paperwork, but I'm now a concealed carry. I passed the class and I'm ready to get my permit. I am a pro Second Amendment. The reason we have the Second Amendment is so that if the government goes off the rails, we can defend ourselves. I would vote no on anything that would limit that.
Thank you. Commissioner Cameron?
Are we sure?
It says,
It
but
says
I'm
right
still
there.
not sure.
Great, okay. And we're starting with you, Kevin, on this question, okay? If there's a disagreement on a piece of legislation or program between this county and this county, Polk County and Marion County, how would you proceed? And don't say build a bridge or build a wall between the bridge.
No, I'm not going
There's
to.
no
I'm not going to
bridge.
build a wall. I grew up with learning to be a mediator, to finding compromises, and I think one of the best forms that our Constitution teaches is compromise. You look at the House and the Senate and how that was formed, and certain people, we have a higher population, we want more representatives. Well, we have a lower population, we want equal say, so House and Senate, I think that's brilliant. I think being able to bridge both communities, not build a wall, build a bridge. I want to build a third bridge, by the way. I think doing that and coming down and finding a compromise I think we all agree on one of the fundamental basics, and being a leader is sit down and mediating between everyone. And that's what I would do, hopefully over a nice barbecue or something. But yeah.
My whole career, I've been in customer service, and that involves listening, problem solving, and I'm really good at it. I think that in this case, listening, finding out where we have common ground, finding out what the problems are, doing some troubleshooting, basically doing what I do in my everyday life, working for Representative Neerman when people call and they're having problems. I do this every day.
Well, I've had a little experience with this because Marion County doesn't always agree with each other when there are bills coming forward. And not necessarily the commissioners,
Well,
but
thank
other
you.
departments and organizations. And I've had to, I don't hesitate to pick up a phone and get somebody's input. That's really important to me. And I would think if you ask around the county, you would know that I reach out quite often, and I would expect to do the same thing in Polk County. I think that the two counties, I would just hear the input, but it depends on, some people do things better. Polk County is better at some stuff than Marion County and vice versa. And so I would just kind of look at your face.
I want to say, name one thing.
You just got a plus.
I can. I'm dealing with some of the mental health stuff. It's a little bit, I think that Polk County has a little bit more integration on some things that have been really valuable. In my job at Salem Hospital, I've had the opportunity to work in some various areas. So again, open door, I reach out. You guys will all have access. It's really important for me to represent my community well. And you're the leaders in your realm, and I would listen to you very closely.
Okay, thank you.
It's my turn, right?
Mr. Willis.
So this is something that I believe is very important, and that's your principles, the principles that you use to look at a piece of legislation or make your decisions, because you're not always going to know ahead of time what's going to come in front of your desk, and you're going to have to make decisions sometimes in a very short period of time. So what are the principles that you use, the guiding principles, when making decisions as a legislator?
I'm first, right? I come to this with a very strong,
Becky.
oh, is it Becky?
Oh,
Sorry.
sorry. Becky, please.
Common sense is number one for me, and I think it's really lacking right now in the legislature. Taking common sense, I am small government, I'm pro-life, I'm pro-freedom. Those are the things that are very strong for me.
That's my turn. I approach things with, everything in my life with a set of principles that I try to live by, and I try to represent my community, and I believe they voted for. I have a very strong sense of faith. I have a strong belief in life, and that it should be protected, and not just on abortion, but really all the way through on different pieces of legislation of how is this going to give someone a better life and an opportunity there. I am definitely a limited government person. I think that local government is the best, or trying to get the decision making to the lowest level possible. Is this going to expand in a government bureaucracy, or is it not? And so, when I was running, people asked me why I was a Republican. And not to bring this about a party, but I think there's a set of principles that are important there. And it really does come down to a limited government approach, more personal freedom and accountability, and just trying to keep the landscape as fair as possible so everyone has the opportunity to achieve. But we can have the opportunity but not necessarily guarantee results. And that's a really important difference to make.
So first and foremost, my faith is the most center pillar of my life. I try to live a godly life, try to live honoring, pleasing to God as high as possible. Secondly, there's a quote I like from one of my favorite authors. It's your life and your life alone, rise up and live it. And I always add, so long as you don't harm someone else. So if there's a bill that's coming in that's going to take someone's right to live their life how they want, I'm not going to vote for it. If it's going to start taking away rights or how you can choose, I'm not going to vote for it. That's the number one test I'm going to do. The third thing is I'm a scientist. I look at data. I look at facts. You can always come to me with data and facts, and I will look at it. And if I'm wrong or if I need to change my mind, I will. Growing up, giving presentations, standing in front of thousands of people, defending arguments, I had to be right. And so I do my research on everything. Even if it's I have a day to do it, I dedicate that to doing my research. So,
Thank you.
Commissioner Pope.
Thank you. Denise, we're going to start with you on this one. If selected, what process will you follow to solicit input and find answers on legislative issues? And what are the actions you will take to be effective in the minority?
Well, I will continue the process that I already brought to the Capitol, and one of the biggest things I knew going into, but it's absolutely the truth, is building relationships, especially people on both sides of the aisles. There are a lot of things that you can accomplish. Not everything is a highly partisan, combative situation, and there's a lot of collaboration that can happen. So within the building, just continue to build those relationships, and I will come into this position with a lot of those already built. The second thing is not just inside the building, but especially outside of the building, and continuing to have regular meetings and interactions, not just with my counties, but also my cities and local organizations, and just with people. So again, it is a long and slow slog sometimes, and I think that I've already established a reputation as someone who is very pragmatic and is easy to work with until I'm not. And sometimes that, and there's a couple people that would probably back me up on that. So as long as we can move forward together, that's great. But at some point, there is some principles at stake. So, it's a complicated process, but I think I have a really good skill set to be as successful as I can right now in the minority, and I actually would really move to change the balance of power as well at the legislature. That's going to be really important to have better legislation going forward.
So I'm of the standpoint, if you look at one side of a building, get closer, you can't see the entire building. I think, it's not just, you're a Republican, you need to hear other perspectives. So one of the things to help kind of bridge that community is, I've always said, in a presidential election, if half your country loses, your country loses. So I would bring in someone from the Democratic side to just be an aide, and so I can hear the other side consistently. Again, I always do my research, so I will always do my research on any bill that's presented forward, and I will have my aides do my research, help with research, but that's what I do. I've already been in the community. I've already gotten to know people. People already know my face. The other thing is, right now with the minority, is I'd be driving to another state if appointed. So that's my first step to help change the balance of power and to help the minority.
I would really look forward to having a district tour where I go around and introduce myself to all of the leaders in organizations. We have colleges, cities, and just let them know I'm a good listener. I will have an open door policy. What's going on? What can I help you with? What is important to you right now? And start building those close relationships.
Kevin, you'd be the first on this question. Why are you a better candidate than the other two here today?
Couple reasons, a few reasons. My environmental background. I think we don't have a Republican or any person with environmental background to say shift the focus from fake climate change to actual environmental issues we face here, such as natural disasters, forest fires. We have the big earthquake coming. No one's really talking about that or actually preparing for that. I have a seismic replacement and upgrade plan that won't raise taxes, but will make sure funds go to urban and rural areas, starting in Marion and Polk County, to build a seismically stable third bridge, to upgrade Detroit Dam so it stays longer and it stays up in an event of an earthquake. Again, from my research so far, I'm the only one being attacked online and both in the streets by the potential Democrat nominee in 2020. Every time he sees me, he turns around and walks away. I have a list a mile wide and plan to go after him in a dated detail, and he's afraid. So.
I am not better than the other two candidates. I just have different strengths. I think this district will be really lucky if any of the three of us are chosen. My strengths come with my life experiences. I'm a former dairy wife. I really can associate with the farmers. I know what they're going through. I know how tired you are and how many hours you work to get the little bit of money that you get. I also was self-employed for over 10 years, and I know how that is. Going around working with businesses, marketing yourself, trying to keep your customers happy and balance that with your family life. Those experiences, plus my customer service experience that I keep talking about, they make me a good candidate, and I think I could do the job well.
I think that the combination of my life experiences, raising a family in this community, involvement in the schools, involvement in business, combined with my political experience and my legislative experience, are strengths that I bring to this.
I must be next down the
You're the
stretch, huh? Becky, you're going to be first, okay? Why do you want to be appointed to this position? And if you are appointed, will you be running for re-election? And for all three of you, the Democrats are going to come after this. Paul Evans can hardly wait to run for this position. And it's going to be a lot of work. So.
I want this position because I want to bring balance back to the Senate. Right now, in the superminority, it's very hard, and we need a good conservative. We need somebody with courage and with strength to be there to balance the other side that's trying to take away everything that I hold dear, my freedoms. If chosen, I will run again. I do know that it will be a tough race. I will put every hour I have into it. I will knock on every door in the district. I will introduce myself to every person that walks by and let them know that I'm a personable person. I'm just like them. I want the same things they want, and I'm fighting for them.
Commissioner, you're absolutely correct. I expect this will be one of the biggest, if not the biggest race in 2020. And I think that because of that is why I put my name forward. I know the kind of effort that it's going to take, both all the way down the pike. I mean, from a grassroots level all the way up to raising money and being in the community and working hard every day. And at the end of when I was making this decision to put my name forward, I sat down with my family. I really painted it out very bleakly of what this looks like. We've just been through a really hard last year and a half of running and serving. And I honestly expected that we would come to a different decision. And I was sitting on the patio with my husband on a Saturday night, and he just looked over at me and he goes, "You know you're going to do it, right?" And I said, "Yeah, I know I'm going to do it." And I look at this not only as an opportunity to defeat, if it turns out to be Paul Evans, which I expect it will be, but also to build an infrastructure and a grassroots passion for the way of life that we deserve to have, that not only affects Senate District 10, but the House races and all the way down into our city councils and school boards and other local races, because we have got to, we have some different perspectives than the majority party currently in the legislature, and it's going to take everybody getting on the train going in the right direction in order to make a real difference, and our citizens deserve that. And so sometimes when you want a job done right, you got to do it yourself.
Thank you for the question, Commissioner. Yes, this will be a big race. Yes, if appointed, I will run again. I've said it before. If you followed me last year, I'm the only one who can beat Paul Evans. He does not like me. I've been called by his people a racist, a bigot, just a whole bunch of nasty things over the last week and a half since I got the nomination. They don't want to see me. I saw Paul last week in the Capitol. As soon as he saw me, made eye contact, turned around and walked the other way. Doesn't like me. I've got a detailed list and a detailed plan to go after him and to make sure he doesn't win. I know what it's going to take in Senate District 10 to go ahead and beat him. I've had conversations with some of you about this before. So yeah, I'm ready for it. We're going to do whatever it takes. You guys know my work ethic. At least Polk County does. Up from dusk to dawn, working multiple things, running multiple businesses. And I'm going to make sure this Senate seat stays in Republican control.
All right. Thank you all. So next item is, you've heard the questions, you get the flavor of things, and we're simply going to ask for your closing statements. Becky, I'm looking at you, and we'll start with you, and then Denise and Kevin. So Becky, when you're ready, go ahead.
Once again, it's an honor to be here, to be chosen by the PCPs. It really is an honor. I have worked in the legislature for the last 5 sessions, and I've learned a lot. And I know what it takes in that building to get things done. I've made relationships, and I think I'm ready to take the next step. Calvin Coolidge is one of my favorite presidents, and he said, it's much more important to kill a bad bill than it is to pass a good one. And that's why I'm running. I want to kill bad bills. I don't want to lose any more freedom. I want to go back, and I want to remind people what it was like in the 60s and 70s when you could go ride motorcycles on logging roads and you could go camping up in the woods, and we didn't have forest fires all summer long, and we could use our natural resources. We could go mining, we could go fishing, and life was fun here in Oregon, and I want to get life fun like that again. If I'm chosen, there's 2 things I really want to do. The first one is to be that conservative voice that reminds people about our conservative values and what it could be like living in Oregon. And the second thing is to help the constituents. That's really important. I love it when somebody calls and they have a problem and they've gone everywhere and somebody told them to call their local legislator, and you're able to get a hold of the legislative liaisons in some of the departments and find a fix for them. That is so fulfilling. And it really, the people really appreciate it. And I've done it a couple times in this session, and it's the reason that it makes it fun to go into work. I just once again want to thank you all for listening to me, and I ask for your vote.
Thank you. Denise?
This Senate seat is a big deal. It was held by some pretty impressive person. And honestly, there's a part of me I can't really think about it in that entirety. But it's more than just serving in the legislature and voting no on bills or trying to work across the aisle to make things happen. You have a presence in this community that's important. And I think that as a state representative and as a state senator, you have an obligation to use that to help move other things outside of the legislation and bring people together and to build bridges amongst the people that we serve. And I will continue to do that. I've started to do that. I am just getting going. But I know the kind of character and compassion and resolute leadership that you need to have any sort of success in the legislature. And it's not really about personal success. It's really about success of our community and for the people that I currently represent. I represent over 60,000 voters. That is an enormous responsibility. And I think about it every day. And so you can rest assured that I will continue to bring that same kind of personal awareness and commitment to this position should you choose me today. Thank you.
People are hurting, families are hurting, people are living on the streets, businesses are hurting, infrastructure is crumbling. We're not looking to the future for an earthquake. We're not looking to be prepared. Detroit Dam's got approximately 30 years left till its intended end date. We should be looking at replacing that. The Salem bridges are old, decrepit, and we needed another bridge 30 years ago. We need someone who can look ahead, who can plan, who has ideas, who understands people's hurt and pain, who can relate. And I feel that's me. I feel, given my background, small business owner, I know how hard it is. I know what cap and trade is going to do to construction industries. My business is a well drilling consulting business. We consult on environmental issues, soil contamination, all that type of stuff. I know what these bills will do. I've seen prices. I've struggled myself. And any one of these people would be a good conservative choice, but I've lived the struggle and continue to live the struggle of both a small business owner, of both a family man, as a college graduate, all those. I've lived that. I talk to that. I can relate to that. Individual families. I get stopped, like I said, I get stopped on the street. I get people that call me complaining, what can I do? I've compiled a list of resources for people here. These are resources you can do, help with rent, stuff like that. I just want to help people. That's my goal. I want to be prepared and not just look today, but also into the future, and how we can help people be more self-sustaining in the future, how we can lower government. It just comes down to helping people. I feel I'm the best choice. Hopefully you agree, and I ask for your vote. Thank you for being here today.
All right. We will take a 15-minute break, roughly. Well, let's just go to quarter to 10, make it 18 minutes if that's not too imprecise, and we'll reconvene at 9:45. You're only gonna take All right, we're back, and thank you for coming back together. And now the pretty important part, the deliberation and vote for our candidate. We're going to go in alphabetical order. I've warned Commissioner Ainsworth that means him.
Are you sure this is the right order?
I had it written out, but I can't find it. But I think A is still first.
That's good. I like that. So, well, it's going to be a difficult decision. I appreciate, like I'd said earlier, all three of you being here to represent this district. And it is a difficult decision. My selection is going to be for Denise. That'll be my vote. I think all three of you would do a very good job. And I would hope that whoever wins this position, that the other two would help support that person to move forward for this Senate seat. I think it's very important, the unity that needs to be shown, because it will be a difficult campaign. I'm not a betting man, but I think Paul Evans is probably drilling at this position. I think he's waited for this time. I don't think he thought, my personal opinion, I don't think he thought he could beat Jackie, but this is an open seat now, and I think he's going to come. He's going to come strong. The Democrats are going to come strong. I mean, he spent $900,000 to run for a representative. I can see them spending $1.5 million, $2 million for this. So it's going to take a lot of work. So thank you to the other two. Denise?
Thank you.
Commissioner Cameron. Oh, no, wait, it's
You're
B.
next.
Isn't that nice? A, B, C.
You know,
Hey, where did you go to school at, okay? I know I'm a central guy,
wait a minute,
and
no,
you
wait
know,
a minute.
my
no,
math isn't
wait,
real
wait,
good.
Wait,
but-
wait, wait, I'm going to defend him. I know where he went to school. Don't get on him about his school.
Well, I'm just curious if he went to school.
It actually,
In Marion County, he went to school in
He
Marion
went to
County.
Marion County, that's it.
I don't know which one to use if it's embarrassing. Could be St. Paul, could be Woodburn, could be Mont Angel.
Hey, they're all good places.
But then what happened? That time. All right, I am next. So, I thought about just saying outright, I will. My vote will go for Denise Bowles. But, little reasoning. First of all, experience. Certainly has it, certainly knows the legislature, knows a part of this district very intimately. Didn't really come out, but personal knowledge, Denise has served on our budget committee the last couple of years. It gives me great confidence. She knows a whole lot about Marion County, and that's important to me. I heard in her talk some like tribute and acknowledgement of Jackie Winters to, she had a relationship and to continue that work, and you have to know Jackie was very good to Marion County. And when Denise talked about, you know, how will you get information to talk to us, I think that's important. We have, Anita, the biggest thing, and it's been touched on already, Mike, electability. I have to know. We can look right here. There's a certain set of values that I don't want this area to lose, and I think Denise has the best chance of defending those values, and that's why my vote will be for her. So now, if I'm correct, right after B,
A, B, C.
I know it's going to get harder after this. That's what's scaring me. Commissioner Cameron.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I got a little teary-eyed during I think when Denise, when you were talking about this. I always called Jackie my mom when I was in the House. And she always called me her son. And I was on the phone last night with Representative Berger, former Representative Berger, and she was always my sister because that was the two House seats that she had. And it's pretty emotional, and it's still kind of a little bit raw to be sitting here and thinking about Jackie and what she meant to everybody in this room and to this Senate district and to all of us individually as well as the state. Kevin, I love some of the things you said about office hours. You're right on infrastructure. You know, some of those things are really important, that we have a future and people are thinking about those things. And I know as county commissioners, we think about it all the time, and, one of the things about being county commissioners is that we have steady, stable leadership, and we can think out those things. So, hopefully some of that can be brought to the Senate by whoever goes there. Becky, I thought of you, and when you said, the years of your marriage and your family and the institution that starts everything in our family and through our community, and how important that is. And the other thing you said that really struck me was, I'm not better, I'm just different. And each one of us is that way. We're all created equal. We're all different. We all have talents and skills that we need to bring out in life, and I really appreciate that. And the other thing you said, it's better to kill with some president, I don't know, kill a bad bill than pass a good one. Calvin Coolidge. Oh, I thought it was Sam, president. and that goes with what you all stand for. And we have a lot of laws. We don't need more necessarily. And yet, my vote's going to go to Denise, and because of your experience in the building, and your understanding of what it takes to actually go through an election, win an election, to support other people in that election, and the big shoes that you know that you're going to fill because of your relationship with Jackie. And I just really want to thank all three of you for sitting here. I've been there 2 times, so I want to encourage you all to keep at it and keep going for that. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Commissioner Morris?
So thank you all. You're all three very impressive, and I know you all do a great job. And each one of you said some things that I was looking for personally. Becky, you mentioned you'd like to return Oregon to Oregon when it was when we grew up in beautiful state, and we got to enjoy it with a lot less restrictions. Kevin, you talked about infrastructure. Infrastructure is something that keeps getting put on the back burner, and it's going to catch up to us big time one of these days if we keep putting it off. Denise, you have something that I think we really need, and that is relationships. You've proven that you're a good team worker. You're there for the people around you, yet you're willing to step up and say no and stand your ground. So with that said, I thank you all three, but my vote goes to Denise.
Thank you.
Commissioner Polk?
Thank you very much. Thank you all for putting your hat in, your name in for this process. I know, having come through some elections that have been, let's just say, closer than I'd like them to be.
Landslide.
Oh, easy. This is a challenging process, and no matter how practiced you may be, it's still something that should make you nervous. It makes me nervous. I can tell you, I agree with everything that's been said so far. I don't need to repeat those things. You do all have qualities and skill sets that are different. I would say clearly Denise has some strengths that she brings to the table that resonate with me. But one of the things that's important to me, having worked with Senator Winters for my last 8.5 years as well, would be, who would Jackie choose? And that's important to me because she did such an excellent job as a senator, had a value set that I could align with. And again, as we all heard the stories in her memorial about, if you worked with her, if the finger came up, you should have understood what that meant without words. She was very good at bringing the kind of presence to that Senate seat that I would expect. So Becky, your words about your dairy life and family absolutely resonate with me. I have so much respect for all of agriculture, of course, and forestry, but dairy families above and beyond because of how much work and dedication that they put into everything. And Kevin, your youth, your science background, and clearly your ambition are solid strengths that I embrace, and I hope you'll keep at it. But my vote has to go to Denise because of her experience, her connectivity currently, and I absolutely believe she is already out of the starting blocks, and this Senate seat is a place where I think you need to have some experience, and you need to have a pretty good run going to step into that seat. So, Denise Bowles.
Thank you.
All right, thank you all. We have, oh, there's a W. There is a W. Cool.
You gonna let me talk?
X,
That's so
Y.
nice of you.
You got cut off, I think, about with Lyle.
So public service is really important to me. I really believe in it. And I just want to take this opportunity to thank each of you, and I mean it, for your service so far. Because a lot of times, you know, folks will say, oh, I think public service is really important. But saying that is a lot different than spending a decade or more of your life proving it. And both Becky and Denise, you guys have been in the trenches for years and years and years, and I've gotten to see you both work. Kevin, you're now in the trenches. I haven't seen you as long, but I appreciate your work as well, because it's really made my life better, but not me personally. It's made my life as a Marion County resident and citizen better. You know, Becky, I know how hard you've worked, both with the Republican Party and as a legislative aide, working with constituents, and it's something that I really admire about you. I think you're one of the best people in the legislature when it comes to constituent relationships. You know, a lot of times you'll go and folks will be dismissive or busy, and you're never like that. I've never seen a situation where you're too busy for a constituent or someone who just pops by. And I'm also grateful for your wisdom. One of the things I was thinking about as I was listening is you just had certain statements that were true, and it's the kind of wisdom that comes from lived experience and suffering. You know, it's the sort of thing that there's a saying, the man that hasn't suffered, what does he know? You know, there's some wisdom in being in the fight and raising your kids and taking care of your grandkids and working for the people in Marion County. So I just want you to know I would be proud and honored for you to be my representative and my senator, and I hope that someday I get to vote for you for that. But I am going to vote for Denise. And Denise, I'm going to vote for you because this is a really hard job, and I think that you're in the best position to deal with the pressure that you're about to walk into. And you've also spent more than a decade, day in and day out, serving the people of Marion County, both as a PCP and volunteer boards and as a state legislator, and I could say all the same things about you that I just said about Becky. And so it makes it a hard decision. But you have been serving as our state representative, and you've done a wonderful job. Every time that we've needed you or needed to call you or ask you for something, you've been there. So I just want to thank you for that and wish you the best, because you're about to walk into the pressure cooker. I know you know that, and I know you're ready for that. And I want to thank you for all the work you've done to prepare for that. And Kevin, I look forward to continuing to work with you. Like I said, I don't have the same background working with you over the years, but I think you're off to a really good start, and I think it's very likely that you'll continue to be in this work, and maybe one day you'll be in that building too. So I'm going to vote for Denise Bowles.
Thank you. Oh, was there anybody I missed? Got you all. Well, I'm happy to report we have a unanimous support for Denise Bowles as our state senators in District 10. We will sign papers and turn them into the Secretary of State's office late the 28th and see where it goes. So anything else that someone would like to add? Then let's call these proceedings. Oh, excuse me. Jan Fritz. We have to take a vote?
Call a roll?
All right. I'll do it officially. Don't let me leave anybody out.
Okay.
Commissioner Ainsworth.
Bowles.
Bowles. Bowles.
Denise Bowles.
Denise Bowles.
And Denise Bowles. Now it's official. All right, and with that, we'll call these proceedings closed. Thank you all.